Hey, Bryan Suits here. It's America Now. Welcome, everybody. Everywhere we're live, everywhere we're not live, well, screw you. You're missing a lot of good stuff. Commencing right now. My home base is KFI in Los Angeles, and I'm the host of The Dark Secret Place, which is America's premier show on counter-terror, war, pew-pew, things that go bang-bang, all kinds of stuff like that. And at 3:30, we'll be joined by Tom Bigley, former Delta Force operator, to help us do a hot wash, as they say in that line of work, about the American raid in Yemen. Because if you follow me on Twitter, at Dark Secret Place, I tweeted out a picture about 3 hours ago on CNN, the CNN 3 p.m. East Coast show. I'm not sure who it was, but they were showing on the screen. The thing that killed me that I tweeted out was they had Mark Hertling, retired military analyst, retired military officer and analyst, and then I forgot her name, the anchor. But along the bottom of the screen, it said, U.S.-led raid was not, quote, 100% success, close quote. And that's what they were running with, was Trump's first military action was not a 100% success. And it's laughable to see. But you talk about managing expectations. It's such a dense story to unpack. And then, of course, we will get to the Supreme Court nominee, Gorsuch, and the genius of the Trump team. And like I said last Friday, the media can't figure this out. Trump is going to play them. And he's going to fulfill every campaign promise because he's learned how to distract them. He's learned how to release a cage of rabbits every single day and let them chase him. So, immigration ban? Are you still on immigration ban? Sorry. Last night I said, if you're still debating or outraged about immigration, you need to move that to Snapchat, because as of 8 p.m., it'll be your judicial outrage has to start. And so yesterday Trump there were two nominees, and it was, I don't know if you were following this or if only people like me follow this really closely, but Gorsuch and the other nominee, they both had unverified Twitter feeds. And so the joke was that Trump was it was like The Bachelor or something, that he was going to have a rose ceremony at 8 p.m. And I was like, what, did I miss hometown visits? We're already at the rose ceremony. And so the nominee is in, and guess what? A president who didn't win the popular vote is still a president. What are people missing? But the longtime Clinton leg humper, Paul Begala, last night said, should a president who didn't win the popular vote really be able to nominate a Supreme Court justice? Short answer there, yes. Yeah, it's right there. Article 3. Yeah, let me just skip them. Preamble, with the perfect union, legislative, executive. Here we go. Article 3, judicial. Yep, right there. Yes, he can. He sure as hell can. And the Clinton that Begala worked for nominated Supreme Court justices, and he won in one election. He won 43% of the popular vote. So, the Constitution, in no part of the Constitution does it say that the president shall have the power, comma, if he's won the popular vote, comma, to nominate justices at a time that he should see fit. No, it doesn't work like that. But the other thing that's happening today is the American press and the American left, the progressive left, are having to come to terms with the fact that occasionally, if you want to get anything done in war, you have to be prepared to lose people. And then, oh, by the way, you have to be prepared for the unexpected to happen. This is not news to anyone who's been in combat. And this is absolutely shocking to me that this has to be explained. And I'll tell you what, part of the issue is that we have become desensitized to American casualties, and you've heard me say this now for 5 years as a fill-in for various hosts on America Now, that there are two immutable laws of war. Law number one, hope is not a plan. Law number 2, the enemy gets a vote. Well, we just went through 8 years of an administration that was so casualty averse that thing about the enemy getting a vote, they decided not even to hold the election. And it will come out someday when people are able to talk more. This is how the bin Laden raid came down. Joe Biden is lying to you. Leon Panetta is lying to you. And, of course, the Obama beatification crew are lying to you as well. The Obama administration wanted an operation where bin Laden could be guaranteed to be killed and not one American casualty as a result. I mean, in other words, he wanted a guarantee that no American would die. He wanted a perfect operation. And so the operation was held off until he had someone, a commander of SOCOM at the time, who would, instead of sticking to his guns and saying, Mr. President, nobody can guarantee that. I can't guarantee that I will successfully commute home tonight, but I've been doing it so far. But I don't have a crystal ball. Instead of saying that, he said, I guarantee. And no Americans were killed. But one helicopter on the way in the insertion hit a cinder block wall. It had to be destroyed. And this is not talked about. But Obama crapped his pants. He thought it's going sideways. And they were ready to call it off. But it was the military that said, no, we've unzipped our flight. We're on the ground. We haven't lost anyone. There's only light wounds. Continue mission. Charlie Mike. So they went on, and the bin Laden mission, there was a huge crowd control component of it to pull all the kids and women aside, and the whole thing, and even pull that screeching third wife of bin Laden out from in front of him, give him a magazine of 5.56 and then a couple in the noggin, take your pictures, get the hell out. Okay, that was the mission, and it had to be guaranteed that there were no casualties. That, folks, is not how you do war. If you have chosen to do war, you can't do it like that. And that's part of the reason of the rise of the drones with the Obama administration, because drones are great. The pilot is sitting at Creech Air Force Base in Nevada. Or maybe he's sitting in a trailer at Camp Lemonnier in Djibouti, but he sure isn't flying over Pakistan. So great, you can fire the missile and the whole thing, and then because the Taliban live with their families, when the house full of kids are in the rubble, we don't see the report here because no American was killed, so there's no follow-up. And besides, everyone in the press wanted Obama to fight a war in the smart way. They called it the smart way. Okay, well, it's also there's not a lot of progress. And you know why? Drones can't take prisoners. You got to put rough men ready to visit violence, as George Orwell said, on the ground. And they have to dominate the enemy and then put them in flex cuffs, put them back on rotary wing aircraft and GTFO. You have to do that. It's what we did in Iraq. It's what we did in Afghanistan. You have to do that to get intelligence. And guess what? The enemy gets a vote. So there's a Navy SEAL dead, and that's horrible. That's tragic. But believe you me, because I know a lot of people in that community down in Coronado, California. If you asked any of them, would you take that guy's place? Would you do that mission again? Would you, if you knew that one man, if we're going to repeat that mission, and you knew for sure that out of 25 of you, one's going to die, I'm here to tell you they would still raise their hands. Okay, and that's the difference between them and people who aren't them. And so when we come back, I'll tell you what a retired Special Forces soldier told me earlier today about the difference in morale between a guy who's willing to use you for what you volunteered for and a guy who doesn't want to write letters home, but yet he still wants to fight a war. So we'll be back right after this. Bryan Suits, It's America Now. 844-NOW-0777, or you can contact me or follow me on Twitter at Dark Secret Place, and we'll talk with Tom Bigley, former Delta Force operator, at the bottom of the hour. Back right after this on America Now. America Now, Bryan Suits. in here until 6 o'clock at the West Coast, 9 o'clock there on the East Coast, 844-90777. We'll talk with former Delta Force operator Tom Bigley, a Delta veteran from Mogadishu to Afghanistan to Iraq, about the mission. And it's funny because you can see the shift in coverage that happened. Apparently it happened 13 days ago when Trump became president, by the way. NBC. NBC's online headline was this: 2 Americans die in Yemen raid. And then you click on it, and the headline is SEAL, American girl die in first Trump-era U.S. military raid. And whoever NBC's source is, I really think they need to maybe voir dire that person. But this is part of what they said at one point. The official said the mission involved boots on the ground, quote, almost everything went wrong, close quote. I have no idea what this person's background is, but clearly not everything went wrong. Everything going wrong would be every aircraft down and every American dead. But one aircraft, apparently, because of a non-combat hard landing, the raid started with a mishap with a MV-22, a Marine-piloted MV-22 Osprey. But regardless, they took prisoners. Okay, here's the deal. An 8-year-old American girl, the daughter of Anwar al-Awlaki, the New Mexico-born former San Diego imam, Virginia imam, the radical imam who influenced Nidal Hassan online, and who then did the Fort Hood shooting. That dirtbag, he ate an Obama Hellfire missile a couple years ago, coming up on 5 years ago. Again, remember, and an American citizen, okay, no trial, no nothing. And this is, Obama was, the president of Harvard Law Review and the whole thing. Without a judge being involved, he assassinated an American citizen. Now, did Anwar al-Awlaki deserve it? Yes. Line form's here to press a button. The only problem I had was for a guy who was all caught up on the legalities of the Iraq War to deprive an American citizen of life, limb, or happiness without due process. No one brought that up because it was Obama. Now, with a stroke of a pen, he could have rescinded his citizenship, because it says in your passport, right there on page 4, that if you go and give aid and comfort to an enemy or join an enemy of the United States, you can forfeit your citizenship. They didn't do that. They killed him. Well, whatever, like I say, I didn't cry. It couldn't have happened to a nicer dirtbag. And then a couple days later, his 15-year-old son was killed. And Alaki's parents went all turbo, and they wanted to get sympathy in the U.S. And it's like, pound sand. Because here's the thing. The guy took his family to a war zone. The guy left the United States. He emigrated to Yemen, knowing that there was a target on his back. He put them in that position. So his son's dead. His widow has moved in with what was a ongoing known Al-Qaeda headquarters. And she's in there with her 8-year-old daughter. And if this thing had been taken apart by drones and Hellfire missiles, it would have been on page 3. And it would have said, civilian casualties suspected in Obama drone raid on Al-Qaeda headquarters. There would not have been a peep about it, because we have been accidentally bombing Syrian kids over the past year and a half. Have you been hearing about that? It's an accident. They're not targeted. You're wasting. You don't target hospitals and schools. They're accidents. But did NBC ever lead a story 3 months ago? Obama anti-ISIS raid kills 10 kids. Did you ever see that headline? You never did. And now they're wrapped around the axle about this 8-year-old girl. It's horrible. It's tragic. It's really, really horrible. I know firsthand. Eyewitness, I know what it's like to accidentally be involved in civilian casualties. It's really, really horrible. It's something that is very specifically sensitive to Americans, because we try so hard to not do that. That's why we feel really wronged when people like NBC do this. But the headline, 2 Americans killed. To most Americans, it sounds like 2 SEALs died. Well, no, one SEAL was killed, and the 8-year-old daughter of a terrorist. And she's innocent. She was taken there when she was, whatever, 2 years old. She has no choice. She's as American as